Hey, how's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a little bit of market analysis on this comic here, Whiz Comics #1. First appearance of Captain Marvel, which was he was known back in the day. Now he's known as Shazam. It came out in 1940, and the cool thing about this book was, so when it came out, so Superman was like the first traditional superhero, and so there's a lot of people trying to copy. And, Fawcett, which makes this book, that's the publisher, they came out with Captain Marvel. And at first, he kind of looks like a rip-off of Superman. He's got his cape and, super strong, you fly and all this kind of stuff. But he's a little different. But whatever happening was Captain Marvel got super popular because he could relate more. Back then, kids read comics, and he could relate more because he is a kid, and he says Shazam, and he gets magical powers. And then they had, Captain Marvel Jr., Mary Marvel, the Marvel family, and they had a bunch of spin-offs, right? Captain Marvel Jr. had his own thing, Mary Marvel had his own. And then, yeah, so he started getting really, really popular. And then, of course, DC didn't like that. So they're like, well, we're going to sue you. And Fawcett was way smaller than DC. So they sued. They're in lawsuits forever, and they claimed that he's too similar to Superman, and they copied and infringed and all this kind of stuff. In the end, I think Fawcett kind of went bankrupt trying to fight all these lawsuits and everything like that. In the end, DC won. And so what happened was they had to stop. And so they stopped making Captain Marvel. And DC ended up getting the rights and ownership of Captain Marvel and most of Fawcett Comics. And then they revived him in Shazam #1 in 1973, 72, somewhere there, early 70s. And the reason why they called him Shazam is because, so after they got sued and lost the right and basically went out of business, Fawcett Comics did, Marvel Comics made a character called Captain Marvel because this Captain Marvel from Whiz Comics wasn't being used anymore. So they used the Captain Marvel. They called him Marvel, but he went by, his comic book was Captain Marvel. And I don't know if there is any infringing. Obviously there wasn't, but his name was actually Marvel. And so then they had to run. And so then when, DC had to come back and bring back Captain Marvel, they're like, oh, well, there's already a character called Captain Marvel now, so they called him Shazam. So he's not really used as Captain Marvel. No one, I don't think anyone calls him that really anymore. It's mostly Shazam, maybe here and there. But yeah, so that's kind of like the story. It's kind of sucks, right? Because we look at it now, it's like, oh, he's nothing like Superman. But back then, that's what they did. But they thought he was too much like Superman because DC was threatened by the fact that they were outselling Superman, which is like, oh, I can't do that. So, yeah. So, yeah, basically now, this comic, is a top 10 Golden Age key. Right? You got your big ones, you got your, action ones, Detective 27s, All-Star 8s, Captain America #1, stuff like that. You got your Whiz comic in there as well. So anytime you can get your hands on something like this, do it. Especially this more rare. Like a Whiz comic #1 seems to be more rare than say an All-Star 8, which is the first Wonder Woman. Even like a Captain America #1, it seems to be more rare. They just don't come up as often. There's not as many sales. So yeah. And then, so we'll take a deep dive more into the numbers here in a second. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so we're going to dive into the numbers of Whiz Comics #1 and kind of look at more what's going on with everything. Okay, so let's go down here. Whiz. All right, so yeah. So if you look at it, it's like, look, just a page itself sells for $150. Right? Just a page. I don't even know if this is a Captain Marvel page. But yeah, if you look at it, it's like, look, in the last 2 years, well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Super rare. Like, there's just not that many of them. Like, even if you look at the census of it, you know, you got 26 total graded. 28 of them are restored, or 28 restored, 26, 54 total. Not that many. Like, you got 190, 185, 170, and then a couple here, none in the mid-range 5.0s, and 1. Like, yeah, they're very. That's why they have such huge value. All right, look, a 3.5 most recent sale was, 72,000. There's not enough numbers to jump into like percentages of growth because they're just like so little. Like, you can look at a 1.8. One has sold ever, like, since they've been calculating this, sold for 50,000. You got an incomplete. 0.5 incomplete. I don't know exactly unless they have a link to it. Okay, in 2014. But that's the thing with like these 0.5 incompletes. One could be missing. Oh, here we go. Let's look at what they're missing. It's on Heritage. Front cover detached, incomplete. Back cover missing, torn panel, second first page. All right, yeah. So that's the thing with like incompletes. One could be like, oh, it's perfectly fine. It looks great, actually. It looks like a 4.0 or a 3.0, but it's missing a page. Or another one could be like, oh, I'm missing the entire back page, or a back cover. Or one could be missing like 10 pages. So that's the thing with like 0.5 incompletes. It's like, so there's none, only one there, oh, here we go, a 2.5. Sells at 88, but this is all, it's funny, 2010 doesn't seem that long ago, it's 11 years ago. It's like just trying to find something that's like recent to see like a trend. Nope, just one. Even here. Oh, here we go, I got a little more. So it looks like one sold in 2011 for 176,000, but then sold for 170,000, then sold for 150. So it looks like the higher grade stuff is just kind of staying the same. Yeah, it's just, here we go, 2008. Look at this jump. 2008 sold for 7,000, and then 2015, 7 years later, sold for almost 10 times that. Like, sold for 52,000. Wow, it's crazy. Like, that little thing. Like, you go to bought this book, and it's like, okay, it sells for like 8 times more. That's good, right? That's great. But it's the price, right? You went from buying this book for $7,000, selling it for 52, and change or whatever. You're looking at like a $45,000 difference. That's 45 grand just in 7 years. That's pretty, just on one book. Let's see if there's anything in the 2.5. Oh, we already looked at the 2.5. 2.0. Yeah, 1. Yeah. I mean, look at this. So this could help. So 2.0 in 2013 sold for 13,000. Then 6 years later in 2019, a 1.8, which is technically a little worse, sells for 50 grand. So what is that 2.0 worth now? And that was in 2019. So let's say that 1.8 is probably worth like 55 now. It's safe to say. And then, this 2.0 could be worth like 60, right? So if the 2.0 is worth around 60 from 2013 to now, you're looking at like four or 5 times what you paid, in like 7 years. So yeah, like anytime you can get like a golden age key, these are definitely worth having. Like, look, you can tell it's a valuable book when just a page, not even a wrap, just a page sells for $150. Just a page. And what do they have? I think they have 32 pages. So, I mean, let's see if I can do that math real quick. Where's my calculator? I don't know what my calculator is. Oh, well, anyways, maybe Google will tell me. 150 times 32. 4,800, just in pages. That doesn't include the cover. Cover is usually worth like 10 times a page, probably. Um, so yeah, I mean, you got a coverless copy selling for 49 back in 2015. Yeah, right around the same, both years. So yeah, so I would say something like this is just a good investment. Like, you buy this book, you keep it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like, let's look at a book that probably has a little more sales. All-Star 8. I would put this around in the same category. This is the first Wonder Woman. This is going to have a lot more sales. It's just more out there. Just it's a lot more. Like I said, DC is a way bigger publisher than Fawcett Comics was. So yeah, let's see if we can get like a 2.0 or something. Not much. Let's see, maybe a 3.0. Lots of sales. Yeah, look at a 3.0. Go from 6,400 to 18 grand to 24. Look at this, slowly goes up, like, and that's that's what you want to see. This up over time. Okay, look at this one. Just goes. This is obviously right around when like a movie. Probably the first Wonder Woman came down, spiked back up. But look. Dang, that one, 2017 went for 74,000. Paid a little too much, but yeah, as you can see, it's just like slowly you're looking at like nearly 10 times your money if you would have bought this thing 15, 20 years ago. So, like, think of it in terms of just investments. If you're looking at like the SP 500 gets 10% return, well, can you get more in a golden age comic? Probably, depending on what you buy. So, and if you look at it, it's like, you had back here, you had a couple that went down. It looks like it's going up, but yeah, it looks like it. Obviously it's slightly going up. Look, pages, just pages. All right, cool. So that's just basically, my thoughts. Like, even if you went to eBay, there's none. You can't buy it, but you can buy a reprint. There's none. But if you looked at like an All-Star 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. And a page. That's the thing with like Whiz Comics, is they're so rare. That like I said, we've had a couple All-Star 8s, but we never had a Whiz Comic. So when that came around, we picked it up. All right, so if you want me to dive deeper into other comics, or something you saw that I went through my weekly haul, just comment below. Or even if it's not in the weekly haul and you want me to do like a little analysis of what I think it's worth and what it could be potentially worth and all that kind of stuff and my overall thoughts, just comment below. Subscribe, and thanks.